Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN and the DraftKings Network. Mitch Moss Pauly Howard, a special edition of the program today. We are live in Scottsdale at the DraftKings Sportsbook. What a glorious setup, an amazing spot to watch games. If you're in the area, if you're listening on AM 1060 KDUS here in the Phoenix area, swing by today. We're going to be watching the games together. Place is beginning packed all morning long. People are here from all over the country, coming to the game, coming to the book to say hello and to watch the game as well. So many TVs earlier the week. So the man who was calling the games today for the first time, Ian Eagle, he's taken over for Jim Nantz. He joined the program this week, and we started off by saying, hey, Ian, we're big fans, and this could not have gone to a more deserving play-by-play man.
Oh, guys, I really appreciate it. I actually did a Final Four on the world feed, Duke and Butler, and I am huge in Bangladesh.
Bangladesh is your spot, huh?
They were partying in the streets. We've never heard play-by-play like this. So you're right. It is my first Final Four stateside, and very excited. Well, very much looking forward to it.
You'll kill it, as you do on every broadcast for every game. There was also a really lengthy profile done by Brian Curtis on you, your life story at theringer.com. I thought it was exceptional. I don't know what my favorite part of the story was, but I'll read this briefly here to sum up maybe my favorite part, and it goes like this. TNT's Reggie Miller calls Eagle, quote, the Michael Scott of broadcasting. What he means is that Eagle's delivery is so deadpan that many viewers don't catch the joke. Quote, if you don't get it, it's fine, said Baltimore Orioles announcer Kevin Brown, one of Eagle's many fans in the business. But, quote, if you do get it, you feel like you're part of a special club, end of quote. And I thought that part from Kevin Brown, son, you make us all feel like you're right there with you during every single broadcast. That's amazing.
That's the ultimate compliment. Truly, I appreciate you even bringing that up. For years upon years upon years, I was doing net broadcasts, a lot of them with Bill Raftery, in fact, and that's why we have a 30-year friendship and chemistry on the air, because there's a genuine friendship there. But for many years, we were doing it in, I don't want to say complete anonymity, but at least relative anonymity based on the viewers that the Nets were getting back in the day, in the mid-'90s into the early aughts. And we were trying to make one another laugh on the air. And to think now, all these years later, that at least in theory, people are in on it and with us and enjoying it really blows my mind.
How much credit do you give to your parents? And the article's fantastic, but also like you were born for this, right? With your son's doing so well, and then the background there was the parents being a comedian and a singer.
Yeah, I don't give any credit to them. It was all me.
It was all me. Oh, God. Yeah.
No, they 100% empowered me. And, you know, it's funny. My wife was going through some old photos because Brian had asked for some pictures. So we had a lot of pictures in the closet that we had not looked at. And I'm talking about had not looked at for 10, 12, 15 years. And her final thought on it was, you know, you had a really happy childhood. Every picture you're smiling, every picture you're happy. So despite a weird set of circumstances where I didn't have a whole lot of parental supervision, they did give me a lot of love. And I think that did carry over in my life, that I felt appreciated, I felt loved. And even though they weren't there necessarily physically, I felt okay about myself. And it is a good lesson in some ways, a reminder of how far that can take you if people around you believe in you and give you that sense of confidence.
Very good. Excellent answer. Love it. The dude abides, by the way, as well. How about, I love that. I love that. Was so good. That was an A+ reference in the Duke game. How about the Edey stuff, which I find fascinating, because Painter has said he doesn't get enough calls, and the opponents say it's ridiculous. He gets away with murder. When you're doing prep and you talk to other coaches, what do they tell you about how Edey is being officiated?
I think the one thing that's really stood out this year more than the previous years, a lot of opposing coaches believe that he is a walking, living, breathing 3-second call, and that officials have just pushed that to the side. So I wonder after the Tennessee game how much that will be in focus for this semifinal game against NC State, because it did look as if that one was not getting called nearly enough. And that could affect the game. It just affects his mindset, where he sets up, where he has to move on each play that may take him out of position of where he's comfortable. And look, he's been a monster in this tournament. And the thing that's really struck me, I don't know what you guys thought, in the last couple of years, the perception at least is that he's reserved and kind of keeps it all in. Well, he's unleashed it. What he did at the end of the Tennessee game, in the interview with Evan Washburn, shows you that this guy has been taking names and he's read it all, and he just released it in that game. And I think there is a bit of that mentality right now with Purdue, that they get to the Final Four, that they needed this as a program, Matt Painter as a head coach, and then Edey individually to validate all of the success that he's had the last couple of years.
Yeah, well said. Ian Eagle, our guest, calling his first ever Final Four, other than the Bangladesh one between Duke and Butler back in 2010. Imagine the streets of Bangladesh had that shot gone in by Gordon Hayward, by the way. They'd still be partying.
Oh yeah. No, he would have been a cult hero. But
no
hey, this is life. Life has different paths for us.
Yes, it does, for sure. But you've watched now, you were on the NC State Duke game. Burns has been on fire. This team has been fantastic. This run is, talk about coming out of nowhere. They were out of they weren't even going to be here had Virginia not blown that game in the ACC tournament. How do you think Burns matches up down low against Edey?
Yeah, they have all of the makings of a Cinderella, although they don't want to be known as a Cinderella. They are still NC State. They've won 2 national championships. They come out of the ACC, and I think they've taken that as a badge of honor, so to speak, that people just weren't paying attention to them because they got in the most bizarre way, winning 5 games in 5 days in this day and age. And I know you guys pay attention to this, but the Louisville game in the ACC tournament, they were down 1, and they could have lost that game. The Virginia game, they had no right to win. They're down 3 with 5.3 left, a 1-and-1 for Virginia at the free throw line. They miss. O'Connell, wild shot to force the game into overtime, to win the game in OT. The magical run continues. So they have said that they just feel like they've been playing elimination games now for a month, basically. And it's hardened them. And the joy in which they're playing with, you can see it. DJ Burns, the smile, constant smile. The rest of the team, it's not just him. There's a real belief right now that they are Destiny's darlings, and there's a connectivity with this group. So, yes, of course, everyone's going to focus in on the heavyweight battle with Edey and with Burns. There's more to it. There's a bunch of storylines connected with this game. Kevin Keats was done. He was going to get fired. Yeah. It had been determined. So they win the ACC tournament, and it triggers a 2-year extension in his deal. Think about that.
Yes.
The AD, it's out of his hands. He doesn't even get to make the choice. The deal makes the choice. The contract makes the choice. So I do think there's been an us against the world mentality for them.
90 seconds, sir. And Mitch said it earlier this week, and we mean it as a compliment. Do you have filler material ready just because UConn is so good?
You're not joking. I know you're not. We had them in the first 2 rounds, and I did say to our production group in our meeting the night before, I said, look, let's get our Stetson stuff in early because this thing could get out of hand. And we did. Like whatever Stetson stories we had, I was like, hey, first 9 minutes, let's go. Uncork it, baby. So, yes, there is a little bit of that mentality that you may have to delve into some other topics. The fortunate part, in all seriousness, because of the dynamic with me and Bill and Grant and Tracy, it's not an issue. It's not a problem that we may have to talk about some other things or take it in a different direction. But they are a juggernaut right now. It's scary.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and the chemistry that you have there with those three and Tracy, it's phenomenal. It's off the charts. And a lot of that is because of you. And, people have said for a long time that you don't tune into a ball game to listen to the announcers. I would disagree. I would tune in to a high school volleyball match to listen to you call it, Ian. That's how good I think you are.
Well, first of all, thank you. Second of all, how did you know I was doing that tonight here in New Jersey? That is so odd that you would say that.
You say yes to a lot of jobs.
I say yes. I say yes to anything.
Right. Well, have a great call on the games this weekend, and we can't thank you enough for the time today. We appreciate that.
Really appreciate it, guys. All the best. Love you.
Back at you. There you go. The great Ian Eagle up next. All right. Very cool to get him the week of. That was solid. Great job by Luke, our producer.
And who's to say that maybe you're not looking at filler material tonight, right?
Well,
I mean, I hope that isn't the case, but I mean, you got a point spread. It's like you're laying 12.
I told you on the show yesterday I was going to find ways. I did the race to 10, 15, 25. I did all of it with Alabama just because they're going to be taking so many threes. And look, I could look very silly, and those could be three easy losers because they're just not going in. And, hey, by the way, it's UConn 22-6.
Yeah.
And I never had a chance. But Alabama's really good, and they got a ton of talent and a lot of dudes, man. And if they are going in, maybe right away they keep it interesting, and then UConn adjust after that. And if those cash, I think then's maybe the time to come in on UConn in play.
I love what Samit said before us about look at the officiating in the Purdue game. Because if they let them get physical and they're not calling the ticky-tack stuff, that helps NC State.
Lamar Jackson added a second MVP trophy to the shelf this past season, but what are the odds he goes back-to-back? Hi, I'm Stormy Bonantoni with VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. The Ravens star quarterback is a 10-1 shot, fourth on the odds board to repeat as the NFL's most valuable player. He joins a list of familiar faces, led by fellow two-time MVP Patrick Mahomes as a 6-1 favorite. Josh Allen at 7-1 is always among the short shots, but will need to rein in the turnovers. This past year, Allen led the league with 44 total touchdowns and 4,830 yards, but was also second in interceptions. The Bengals certainly hope Joe Burrow at 9-1, coming off a season-ending injury, will bounce back with MVP caliber play. And Jordan Love's been a trendy name in the market at 12-1, finishing his first season starting for the Packers on a run of 21 touchdowns and 1 interception prior to their divisional round loss to San Francisco. Aaron Rodgers, another potential intriguing name. He's taken some action with the Jets' off-season moves, gone from 28-1 to 16-1 on the odds board.
Remember when spring break was the most fun you could ever imagine? Well, imagine it again! DraftKings Casino presents Spring Break Rewind! Soak up games exclusive to DK brands like Rocket, plus custom takes on favorites like Blackjack, slots, and more. New customers can play $5 and get $100 instantly in casino credits from America's top online casino. Boom! The crown is yours.
Hey everybody, Mike Golick Jr. and Mike Golick Sr. here with some very exciting news. Our show, Gojo and Golick, can now be heard right here on VSiN.
Weekdays at noon Eastern, you're going to hear us give our takes on the biggest stories across the world of sports, make some predictions, and have a little fun.
That means he's going to talk about food. My dad's going to talk about food because that's the only thing that he's really passionate about.
I'm certainly not going to argue with that.
Catch Gojo and Golick at noon Eastern or 9 a.m. Pacific right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Nobody gets you ready to bet the Masters like VSiN. Our Masters betting primer has first-round leader bets, betting strategies, and profiles of every golfer. Check out our golf betting podcast, Long Shots, with multiple episodes throughout Masters Week. And on VSiN.com, we'll have daily articles and best bets from all the VSiN golf betting experts. Gain access to everything VSiN has to offer for the Masters at VSiN.com/pro. That's VSIN.com/pro.
Coming up Monday on Follow the Money, we recap what happened in the women's game in the Final Four, and we preview the title game. Is it UConn and Purdue? Plus some NFL news and only a week left in the NBA regular season. Follow the Money weekdays, 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We're all about giving our players new and exciting ways to get in on the action. With my stat sheet, you can check out your play history and performance over time to make sure you're always playing within your means. Because when it comes to betting, it's more fun when it's for fun. The crown is yours.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Get up to the website, check out vsin.com today. All the picks with the Final Four, the props, what Sam had said earlier as well, and selections from Matt Humans and the props that he was on earlier. Check it out. Don't forget the betting splits, the free 2-week as well. Check it out. Everything we do, vsin.com.
Well, this is awesome. We are joined by a broadcasting legend. Mike Golic Sr. is on the program here. A couple things. His show, the first hour that we do in the mornings, which is 7 to 10 Eastern, our first hour leads into Mike Golic Sr.'s show on DraftKings Network, and then they're back on VSiN, Gojo and Golic, at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time, Monday through Friday. It's great to meet you. Thanks for coming down here today.
This is phenomenal. Two things. First, I love the name of the show, Follow the Money, because every time I say it, I look for my wife, because she's the one that has all the money. And every time I get introduced now, it's, Mike Golic Sr., and I think, why the hell did I name my son Mike Jr.? Because now it's just horrific. It's just everywhere. Now I'm seeing, I used to just be Mike Golic. It's got to be Senior. He's got to be Junior or Gojo. Notice the name of our show. He got his name first. He didn't refer to for his father at all. The disrespect is just palpable.
By the way, I meant it when I said that. You are to do what you did and to be on a morning show in radio anywhere, but nationally for more than 2 decades is impossible.
It was. I'm not going to lie. I did it for actually 3 years out here in Arizona. After I retired, I was doing college games for ESPN, and I did morning radio out here in Phoenix. So it was morning radio here, and then 3 years, and then 21 years at ESPN. I'm not going to lie. 4:15, the alarm went off when I was in Connecticut, and I swore. I said a bad word every morning.
Sure.
Because nobody's used to getting up at 4:15. I think it's at least 5 o'clock where you can get used to it. 4:15, no. But the great thing was, guys, is my day, the show was done at 10. Basically, I'm out of there at 10:30, quarter to 11. I was the lunch dad at my kid's school. I got to coach them, Mike, Jake, and Sydney and all their stuff after school. So it actually, was tough on the front end, but from a family standpoint, it all worked out pretty well.
But as a hardcore sports fan,
if
you're on the East Coast, you don't stand a chance. You can't stay up and say, no way.
You just can't. Monday Night Football, I could. Early in the week games, be it basketball, whatever, I could. As the week got going, it got tougher. So like Thursday Night Football, couldn't do it. Maybe made it to a half. But what we had is a way to watch any of the games compressed, where I could watch a game in 20 minutes. So I get up the next day and I could watch what I missed. If I watched only half, I could see the other half. So it worked. And then plus nationally, you're kind of skimming the treetops and diving into big national stories. Like when I was doing local here in Arizona, then you got to know the third line of the Coyotes, and all the different things in the various sports. And that was the tougher thing, coming from just football to now have to talk and be knowledgeable about the other sports, where sometimes it was BS with conviction.
Well,
just act like I knew what I was saying.
Sure. The one story that everybody's been talking about now for at least a couple of weeks, if not more, is what's going on in the women's tournament and where they're at with this game. What did you make of the moving screen call last night?
So, this is what makes Twitter difficult, is I tried to, and why I usually just repost and quote a tweet rather than do my own. Because I tried to explain, I said it's a shame they made that call then. It was a foul. But it's a shame they made that call then, and people are all like, oh, you only want them to call it at the beginning of the game. And it's very difficult to explain. But when you're playing, and I don't care what the sport is, were those calls made? Because they say if it's a penalty, if it's a foul in the first quarter, it should be in the fourth quarter. Well, they let some stuff go early on. So if you let some stuff go early on, also as an athlete, I'm going to tell you this straight out. In any sport, coming to the end of the game, players do not expect the call. You go into it not thinking you're going to get the call, that you're just going to have to play through it. If I'm a D lineman, I'm expecting they're not going to call holding on the offensive lineman on the last play of the game. They're rarely going to call, unless it is unbelievably blatant that you're going to do it. And, of course, all the replays they show to that, when you see it in slow motion, you could see it was a moving screen, but you don't get to see that in slow motion if you're a ref. So, seriously, I guess that's my point. As a player, you would never expect expect that call to be made at that point of the game.
Well said. You just stay out of the way and don't decide the game.
Unless it's something that's, unbelievably going, oh, my God, I can't. I have to call it.
Our comparison was the end of the NFC title game, Saints-Rams, when the call should have been made.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And so everybody knows that they got that run wrong.
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree. But you start to try and talk about it on Twitter, and oh my God, it's just that's why I try and stay away.
So okay, we have to do it here though with this Purdue game coming up. What was your playing weight?
I got in the league at 275. I finished at an in-shape 300. 2 years when I was done playing. I walked out of the shower one day, looked in the mirror, and I was 320. I looked like a vanilla milkshake. And I said, okay, I got to get control of this thing. And I'm down to probably about 225, now, 230. Okay. But, yeah, my playing weight I finished was about 300.
Okay, so I can't imagine going against, like, if you tried to post me up, right? Or even not. But so if this was called a foul on Edey by Tennessee. Like if I'm because you're coming in, you're backing me in. You're trying to get position.
Yep.
And you have so much because he's got 7 inches on Burns.
Yes, he does.
So if I can't go like this, then I don't know how I defend the guy. And he gets calls to begin with. So I don't know what if they start calling that early, and if this is called a foul, just trying to put the forearm up on the back, then it's going to be a long night.
So I always say, really in any sport, watch how the first 5 or so minutes go. You can kind of get an idea how the refs are going to call it. And you would see that in football, DBs, cornerbacks especially. Are they calling this thing tough? Are they letting me get away with contact at 8 yards instead of 5 yards? Are they being loose? Are they being a little tight? Are they calling holding on the backside when it doesn't really affect the play when you don't think they're going to call it? So are they calling it loose or are they calling it tight? And then who's the player? Yep. Sometimes stars get calls. Yep. Listen, as much as we don't want to believe it, it happens. It happens. This, to me, is the biggest, for North Carolina State, listen, what a run after losing, 10 of their last 14. They go on that run that UConn did last in, 2011, I think?
Yeah.
5 days, 5 wins. So they're playing well now. They space the floor incredibly well. That's one of the things they do well. But everybody's looking at the Burns-Edey matchup. And the thing you do not want to do is 5 minutes into this game have to have one of those guys go sit down, right? Because of foul trouble. And sometimes, are they going to make it more difficult? Because I would go right at Edey right out of the gate with a couple of different players from North Carolina State and see how they're going to call it. Is Edey going to be able to get away with things, or are they going to call it? Can you get some early fouls on him? That's what I would try and do. We'll see.
And what do you do with the other game then, the late game tonight? I mean, Bama's really good.
Well, Sears is obviously their big shooter. What Nate Oates has done with that team and bringing them back and making them really, playing relevant. We're so used to Nick Saban and how great Alabama is, but what he's done has been fantastic. We know with Alabama what it's going to be. Are they hitting their threes, right?
Yep.
Because they give up. Well, they score a lot of points. They give up a lot of points. UConn is so fundamentally sound all over the floor. You watch them do drills. It's like old school drills. It's like drills you don't see anymore, even in grade school or high school, of dribbling and ball handling and all that stuff. You don't see that happen a lot. So I'm really impressed with Dan Hurley to say, listen, the basics get us there, and this is such a fundamentally sound team. And for Alabama, again, they better hit their threes.
Yep.
And I was doing an interview with 3 former basketball players, and I said, how does it affect you when you're playing in a stadium? And they said, what happens is, when your shooting comes up short, until you get used to kind of the depth perception of how it's all played. Now, they get to practice it and everything I get, but that's normally the problem early on when you're playing in a cavernous place, right? Is the ball will come up short. So we'll see. We'll see with Alabama if they're hitting those shots or not.
It's wild because, they're the defending champs. This year's team is one of the best in the last 25 years. I think back to the 80s and 90s, some of those just incredible teams that won. They didn't do this.
No.
They never ran through the tournament back-to-back years with 2 different teams.
They're just destroying teams. It's amazing. They just slowly build. I was kind of like South Carolina beating North Carolina State yesterday. This was a close game at halftime. Third quarter was over. South Carolina just destroyed them.
I can't get over the fact that Illinois is one of the best 2 or 3 offenses in the country, and UConn went on a 30-0 run. That doesn't
23 all. Me and my son-in-law Ben, who's here, we're watching that game. It's 23 all. We're going, Okay. Next thing you know, it's 53-23. What the hell just happened? We had such a good game, and it's over. They're so good. I have a tough time thinking Alabama, again, unless they're just slamming their threes, are going to be able to hang with UConn. Where the other game, we'll see. We will see.
It just makes me wonder if Hurley's going to stick around in Stores for, 20, 25 years. This is all the beginning of it. This is incredible what he could do potentially.
Oh, without a doubt. Maybe a lot happens, with the old contract extension. After you keep winning like that, you keep getting paid.
All right, let's follow the money here on VSiN and also DraftKings Network. We're live at the DraftKings Sportsbook Scottsdale, connected to the great TPC golf course here where they play the Waste Management Open every single year. Our guest, Mike Golic. No senior necessary here, just Mike Golic here. He's going to stick around. One more segment here. We have to do some NFL draft.
Okay.
What would you do at the top of the draft with these quarterbacks, and what do you think teams will eventually do? That's next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
For a limited time, offering 2 weeks of our exclusive betting splits for free. Just sign up, VSiN.com/splits. It's updated with DraftKings odds every 5 minutes. You can see changes in all the action. Find out where the public's betting based on the number of tickets and where the money doesn't match the public opinion. You can check out future events as well. Limited time offer. Take advantage. VSiN.com/splits. Get your free 2-week access. VSiN.com/splits.
We are live today from the DraftKings Sportsbook, TPC Scottsdale, here on VSiN and also DK Network, which you can get Gojo and Golic every day at 8 a.m. Eastern, following the first hour of our show, Follow the Money. And also they're back on VSiN then at noon Eastern and 9 a.m. Pacific time. Mike Golic hanging out with us today. Pleasure, by the way, to have you in here. Thanks so much for coming down
this
today.
This place is phenomenal.
Oh, what a book.
I lost a lot of balls on these golf courses, that's for sure.
Do you get out quite often when you're you have to, right?
This is so close to my house. I get out here. Me and my son-in-law, who's in med school, so when he gets some time off, we go out here. I let him blow off some steam, and we just lose a lot of golf balls.
We will get into the draft in a minute. We were reminiscing during the break. I was trying to do the timeline in my head of your playing career in the Fog Bowl.
Yep.
You were involved in that crazy
Played
game.
the Fog Bowl, yeah. When I was in Philly, we played against, obviously, the Bears in Chicago. And it was wild. They were not going to postpone that game no matter what, because the fans were there, and it rolled in, obviously, when the game was going on. And I'll never forget, we were on the field, and the referee had his microphone that would go to the booth. And he was standing in the middle of the field, and we heard him say, "Yes, I can see both goalposts from here." And we're looking at him, we're like, "What the hell are you looking at?" Yeah. I said, "You're on the 50-yard line. We can barely tell that. We can't see to the 40 on each side." Oh. And you're telling them you can see the goalposts. Oh. They did. I'm telling you, they did not want to postpone it, make everybody leave, have to come back. They were playing that game. Wow. And Chicago was winning when the fog rolled in, and that was pretty much it. You would see an end run, and I'm on the field as a D lineman trying to chase after it, and you just see everybody kind of disappear into the – it was like a movie, go disappearing into the mist
yes.
or coming in out of the mist. It was like, wow. It was crazy. See, I played in a lot of snow, rain, every sleet. Never that. Never played a game like that.
And the players thought you were so confused, like you had no idea it was fog. You thought there was maybe a fire close by?
Well, at first we saw it kind of rolling into the stadium. We thought, is this smoke from a fire? But then you could, you would smell
it, yeah.
No smell. We're like, did somebody blow off a lot of fireworks? Because sometimes there's the smoke that's there. It was not that. And then we realized there's a fog coming in off the lake. And, it just rolled in like soup and just engulfed us. It was the damnedest thing.
When the offense had the ball and you're on the sideline, could you see what was going on, or was it that bad?
You sit down on the bench? You could kind of see them. And then as the play went on, like I said, they were kind of disappearing.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
It was truly one of the most stunning experiences of my life.
Do you think they continue the game today, or they canceled that today?
I think they try and do anything they can to continue the game. I think it's, we saw obviously the DeMar Hamlin situation, which was horrific for the Bills. And, that they stopped that game, which is completely understandable. But from a weather standpoint, not if it's lightning where they're going to clear the field. Yeah, I think they're going to try. Basically, they say football's played in any weather, except for lightning. So let's go.
Well, you played for a long time here, so I respect your opinion. What do you make of the McCarthy business? Listen, we watch every game, and we saw every Michigan game, and it seemed he was a game manager, and we mentioned the Penn State game. But then you talk to guys, the higher-ups and management guys and GMs, and while I'm looking at every tape, and I see something spectacular. What do you see with McCarthy?
So both Mike and I, my son, we didn't think he was that first-round guy. But this is how it works now. It's always been amazing to me. After you're done playing in shoulder pads and a football uniform, and you go into shorts and a T-shirt, all of a sudden you start moving up. Like, how the hell does that happen? The thing about JJ is you have a limited sample size of him throwing. All those other quarterbacks we were talking about, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., they all throw the ball a lot. JJ didn't have to. It's a Jim Harbaugh offense. It's going to be basically built on running, But when JJ threw, he threw some bad. He threw some really, really well. So what happens, this is what happens, guys, is what GMs and owners see is the potential of a player, and they put that over that's just like Justin Fields. So he's gone obviously from Chicago. They saw him play. I like Justin Fields, and I think eventually he's going to get there, but he hasn't gotten there quick enough, even though he didn't have a lot surrounding him. And they're saying, we see the potential of Caleb Williams as opposed to what we've already seen out of Justin Fields, and we're going to go with what we think is potential, but it's unknown. It's unknown from college to the NFL. I think at the end of the day, you're going to get 6 quarterbacks in the first round.
All of them are going to go.
All are going to go, and I think at least 5, maybe 6, and guaranteed, because we have enough sample size, if we get 6, 3 are going to fail.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the way it works, because it's the most overreached and overvalued position, but teams are afraid to not take the guy, because if we don't take him and he turns into something great, man, we screwed it up because it's the most important position on the field.
100% spot on. They can't it's like FOMO. Fear missing out.
Oh, my God.
Right? Because if that guy turns into the franchise quarterback for somebody else, they're going to kick themselves for who knows how long.
And let's see all the talk now is Minnesota trading up to 5 to grab J.J. McCarthy. I can't remember the list, but I know it was the last 6 quarterbacks that a team traded up to the top 5 to get them. Every one of them busted. Every one of them busted.
Is that right?
Every one of them. Now, the one that has gone on to play a little better was Jared Goff. But he didn't get it done with the Rams, where he got originally drafted by. Yep. Ended up doing better when he went to Detroit. But the other ones, yes, all busted out when a team traded up into the top 5 to get their quarterback.
I will actually buy that, because what you said, I mean, it's going to be like if we get 6, 3 of them, count it right now, not going to work out, maybe more than that.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I think the best thrower, and I think the guy to me to watch out for down the road, and I think it could be that guy, is Michael Penix Jr.
Oh,
love him. He's got obviously a tough medical history with his knees and his shoulder. But I think if he can stay healthy, it certainly is a key thing in the NFL, because it's not about if you get hurt, it's when you get hurt and how bad it is. But I love the way he throws the ball.
I watched a lot of their games the last 2 years. A buddy of mine has had season tickets up there for 18. He's an alum, so he's had to see. So I went to 2 games. So just by knowing this friend of mine, and I watched Washington a lot with him, we text back and forth. I was blown away by him. How does his film not, when people put that film on, people look at that and say, this dude has got the perfect arm for the NFL.
People are scared of his injuries.
That's
I mean,
thing.
His injury history is ridiculous. And in the title game, when he had to move, he struggled. And that's a fear, because every quarterback's going to have to move. We have so many athletic quarterbacks that are dangerous with their legs, dangerous outside the pocket throwing the ball. And he's did some good there and some bad there. But at the end of the day, I just love the way he throws it.
I love hearing that. So what do you think is going to happen at 2 with Washington? Then 3 with the Patriots, and then compared to what's actually going to happen.
I think it's going to be Caleb Williams and then Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to go number 2. The old regime with New England, I could have seen them trading back. That's Bill Belichick trading back. But it's Gerard Mayo now. It's a new frontier there, and they need a quarterback. Here's what it comes down to, guys. I keep talking about 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the first round. It all comes down to what's your grade. your team, what's your grade? I'll never forget when Ryan Tannehill got drafted. I think it was 7th by the Dolphins. We were all like, what the hell? And I remember Ron Jaworski saying, listen, it doesn't matter what we think. If the Dolphins have his rating where 7 is right for him, then they have to take him. Now, it didn't work, but that's what it goes by. What's the rating? What's the difference of a rating of a Caleb Williams to a Drake May? So New England is 3rd. If it's Daniels and Caleb that go before him, what's New England's grade of Drake May? Is it high enough to where you say we take him at 3? Or do we drop back a couple of spots because our grade of Drake May, of J.J. McCarthy, of Bo Nix, and Michael Penix Jr. are closer to one another where we could afford to drop back a little bit, pick up some assets, and still get a quarterback that's within our grade range? That's what it all comes down to. If they have a really high grade on Drake May, higher than the other quarterbacks, then they'll take him at 3. And then the first movement will probably be like a Minnesota, maybe even a Denver that would try and trade up to get a quarterback.
We have about a minute left here. If the Chargers stay at 5, I don't think they're going to go wide receiver. I think they go Joe Alt. You think so,
They're
too?
going to go Joe Alt. That's Jim Harbaugh.
Right?
Jim Harbaugh, I mean, that team, what a change for that team. But Jim Harbaugh is going to make his team. His team, he loves a pounding, running team. Alt is an excellent pass blocker as well. So I think that's where he's going to start to build. So I agree. I think he goes O-lineman, and Alt is the guy.
That was awesome. Thanks so much for the time.
Hey, no problem. For me, I got Purdue. It's the last game I got in my Final Four. So for my points in my sheet, I got to hope that they make it through and win this thing. We'll see.
You look great.
Thanks.
The menu here is fantastic. Like, what do you look towards the salad? Do you go cheeseburger?
No. I
pizza?
know when I'm coming to a place like this that I eat better somewhere else. So when I come here, I'm getting what the hell I want. Okay. There you go. So that's going along with a nice beer.
There you go. Awesome. There you go. Mike Golick with us here. So he's hanging out. DraftKings Sportsbook, again, his show, Gojo and Golick, is going to be Monday through Friday on DK Network, following us at 8 a.m. Eastern, and then later on in the day, and VSiN at noon Eastern as well. We're back with Final Four props.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps, is giving new customers a shot to turn $5 into $150 instantly in bonus bets. Any college basketball bet, download the app, use promo code VSiN. VSiN when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
And we are live at this phenomenal DraftKings Sportsbook connected to TPC Scottsdale. Of course, the Final Four is right down the road. We're here until 3 o'clock live with this show, and we just talked to Mike Golick Sr. Now we bring on son, Mike Golick Jr. Again, Gojo and Golick weekdays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on VSiN. Okay, so we were talking about this with your dad and during the break, too. Your dad, he looks great. And he said, here I'm going to go nuts and eat whatever I want. Typically, he's going to go healthy, though.
Yes.
You said something that blew my mind, what you guys decided to do on Easter. How did you approach it from an eating standpoint?
We catered in Portillo's. So we're a family with a lot of East Coast roots in general, but I think Midwestern at heart. And so spent a lot of time in South Bend by Notre Dame, got very used to Portillo's and everything that they had to offer. And so my mom's brilliant idea for Easter, since we were all in town together, my brother, his wife, their 21-month-old son, my sister, her husband, and their 4-month-old daughter, we got an army to feed. Let's make sure we do it the right way. And so I am about, if I think the earth's 70% water, I am probably still 70% Italian beef and cake shake.
How many cake shakes you get?
The limit does not exist. You just get enough, and then you kind of see who gravitates towards it more, who needs it a little bit more. I'm very scared. I've got a doctor's appointment coming up. New doctor for my first physical with a new doctor coming up on Monday this week. Terrified of what's about to happen. It's like a bad first date getting ready to unfold.
That's a power play move, though, right there. Easter Sunday, here you go. Catering Portillo's.
It's a beautiful thing. I like to think we made the Lord proud.
Yeah.
Also, we touched on McCarthy in this team, J.J. McCarthy. I don't know. I mean, he played in all these big games in college, but he never had to throw that ball that much. And now you're seeing, ever since the season ended, let me tell you, McCarthy's going to go super high, maybe even as high as 2. How much are you willing to buy with him?
I'm not willing to buy 2. I'm willing to buy higher because we see this happen every year with quarterbacks. We can't continue to act surprised. Last year was a good level set, though, I think. Because everything we went through with Will Levis last year, a guy who I think is talked about in similar ways, the traits. With Will Levis, it was the arm strength. It was, we saw him in that offense at Kentucky his junior year with Liam Cohen, who's a part of that McVay tree. And we said, okay, we got to kind of see him in some of these situations that's in an offense that's very in vogue in the NFL right now. And then the draft actually happened, and we realized teams did not view this player the same way. And so we're always wary of lying season, but I think with JJ, it's twofold. It's one, you mentioned big game experience. People love a winner. People love seeing him on these big stages in front of other quality opponents, so you're seeing good on good. It's a reps issue, and I think we all know the hubris of NFL scouts, GMs, coaches to say, oh, you've got a supremely talented player there. If you don't think you can make something of him, that's your problem. I'm a great coach. I'm a great scout or GM. I can see what you can't or make of it what you can't, and so I think that's always really enticing for the NFL crowd.
You said something interesting right when you sat down about what happens at 3 and what happens at 6 is fascinating. And I wouldn't fall down if the Patriots go Harrison. Because you just say, I'll take Harrison. I got Brissett. I'll worry about quarterback later.
I think that's almost the funny part is we're so deep in the draft cycle now where we've been talked into, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 quarterback, and we're expecting the Vikings maybe to trade up. Or now the Giants, like you mentioned, sitting at 6. They've been talking openly about having the green light to go for a quarterback if they want it. But ultimately, if Marvin Harrison Jr. went off the board at 3, we'd all go, there's a lot of people who think he could be the best player in this draft, period, as a wide receiver with his kind of pedigree, production, and physical skill set. So the Patriots are desperately in need there. And I do think outside of, for me, it's always, and I make sure to keep tapping back in through this process and trying to watch more tape of these guys and make sure I'm comparing and not missing anything in the projection. I still think Caleb Williams and Drake May, very comfortable taken in the top 5. After that, even with Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, there's a little bit more risk involved because for Jaden Daniels, a little bit more of a physical outlier considering his size and build. For J.J. McCarthy, you just haven't seen the same volume of reps, having to be a down and down-out passer in critical situations for that team. And so that risk inside the top 5 starts to feel some type of way for me, especially in this year where you've got bona fide studs at wide receiver, game changers at offensive line, especially on the perimeter in this draft. All those spots that can be incredibly valuable if you're not totally sold on a quarterback that we just saw. Hey, a whole class of them just got exited from their original destination this year, and so we've got the cautionary tale right in front of us.
Sure. The draft prop has been up now for a while. How many quarterbacks will go in the first round? It's 4.5. It's heavily juiced to the over. Are you convinced we're going to get 5, maybe even 6?
I think so. The one that's most interesting to me in that regard, because obviously Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix got talked about a lot this year because they were both on really good teams because the Pac-12 swan song was a beautiful one, and Michael Penix Jr. was a part of the most prolific passing offense in college football. But I think the injury concerns make it an interesting conversation there. For Bo Nix, I think the juice has always been kind of warm on him when it's come to his pro prospects. Spencer Rattler is the really interesting one to me outside of the 4 that we've consistently discussed. And I saw some people, Derek Klassen does a great job breaking down quarterbacks on Twitter at QB Class, and he brought it up, and I went back and I watched because I was like, man, South Carolina wasn't very good. Like, what did I miss here? And you look at a player that's very similar for all these guys. Not a lot of protection for some of the better quarterbacks in this draft outside of J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix Jr. And so for all of them running for their lives trying to make decisions, when you turn on the tape with Spencer Rattler, you see a guy very calm and chaos in the pocket who's got an absolute howitzer for an arm. That thing hums out of there. He can make every throw on the field, and he's always breaking contain. And when he has to scramble, which was often, he's still keeping his eyes downfield. He's still looking to make plays. And for young guys, as you're looking for them to make that transition, I always think that's really important. So he's the one that becomes interesting to see. Hey, would someone reach on him? Michael Penix Jr.'s gotten some buzz this week. So I think the over on that is something I feel pretty safe with.
We were talking to your dad about the Chargers going alt at 5, and this is right up your alley. Why is O-line play so bad? And if I put you in charge, like how would you fix it, or how would you to make it better? And because it's just you said something. Everyone seems to run the spread.
Yeah.
So that's a killer right there.
I think from high school on up, football tends to be with the change structurally a trickle-up economy where high school coaches don't have as many resources to work with. You don't have as many good players. You might have 1 or 2 future pro guys or college guys on your team. So you're finding a way to maximize them and get them the ball. The spread offense did that. Put your best athlete and player quarterback, let him go to work and make everything else exist around that guy. That worked up through college, and so you combine that with hey, back in 2011, the players got a win in the collective bargaining agreement that said, we're not going to be on the field as much. Problem is, for the offensive line, you are the most unnatural skill set in football. You're the most learned. You're going backwards trying to stop the best athletes on planet. It's hard work.
Sure.
As someone who tried to do it for a little bit while. And so you need more time with a lot of these guys. And I've said, I think at the top of the draft, unless you're an NFL team like, let's take the Tennessee Titans, who just got over Bill Callahan, one of the better offensive line coaches in the NFL, to coach under his son Brian. Unless you've got a guy like that that's a legitimate known commodity, you need guys that are coming out of college with pedigree, technically sound, fundamentally driven. And so you think of the Alabamas of the world, the Georgias of the world. You think of Notre Dame. You think of Michigan, where you know, hey, these guys are getting quality coaching. It's going to look right away. And physically, they're going to be up to par playing at these kind of schools. I think Joe checks all those boxes. He's physically a marvel, just a mountain of a kid when you get around him. He's also very young still, about 21 years old. And he's a guy that was a tight end in high school, coming to an offensive lineman. And so to come in as technically sound as he is already, to have that much upside age-wise along with the physical ability, I think the sky's the limit for him, but I think he comes in with a floor that puts you at a place where day one he's your guy and you don't have to worry about it.
So you have me curious now, and we have about 2 minutes left here
Sure.
with Mike Golic Jr. The prop on offensive linemen to go in the first round is 9.5. Like, do we really have 9 or 10 first-round worthy offensive linemen, or is the need that high across the board because of what Pauly said, and it might not be as good, might be the low point ever, that teams also might reach on that position?
This is like me looking at a late-night Denny's menu where I just go, yes, like everything you said is correct. The need is always great at offensive line, but I think this year we've got a lot of really interesting prospects in between, guys that I think are going to be ready to go right away. So you think of Talisi Fuaga out of Oregon State, the right tackle there, who's a load, could play inside too. Troy Fautanu from Washington, Olu Fashanu from Penn State. There's a lot of guys I think are ready to step in and play now and have some position flexibility where they could play inside, they could play outside. You can move them around as you see fit with your group. And then there's some other guys along the interior. Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon is going to be the first center, probably first interior lineman off the board. So I do think we're very deep at those positions. And I think knowing the premium for that in the league right now, knowing the need for so many teams as you go through, you could say offensive line and defensive back are a need for like 90% of the teams going into the draft. So I do think the over on that's going to be a really interesting place because we got a talented group of beef in this draft, and that makes my heart happy.
Of course it does. Probably not as happy as Portillo's, but
not quite.
Do we get an upset today in the Final Four, or is it going to be chalk playing on Monday night?
I think it's chalk playing on Monday night. I had UConn and Purdue as my pick at the beginning of all this.
Whoa!
That's what we get. So.
You had that in your bracket?
Wow. I did. Listen, I'm a Connecticut native who saw what this team was capable of and also appreciated the fact that we're getting a big man renaissance in the tournament right now. I'm hoping that maybe DJ Burns has some of the juice. I like them with the points today to make it a rock fight, but I think we get the battle of the big fellas in the title, and I think UConn takes this home back-to-back.
Very good. Excellent spot. Thanks so much for coming down today, man. We really appreciate that.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
ton of fun.
You're going to get Gojo and Golic weekdays at 8 a.m. Eastern Time on DK Network, and then it's back again at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on VSiN. And up next, we will get more into the Final Four and some props, specifically one that I like that pays around 3-1. Details on that coming up next.